Welcome back to Under Oath. I'm your host and victim.
I love it.
Attorney Jeff Kaufman, together with my good friend, James John.
And street attorney, James John.
Street attorney, yes. He talks a lot of legal nonsense.
I do. Look, I watched a lot of CSI.
Facebook.
I watched a lot of Law and Order.
Facebook.
Yes.
I remember talking to Marina Sirtis. I think I'm butchering that. She was in Star Trek Next Generation.
Okay.
And I got to ask her some questions. And we were just talking about stuff. And I said, she goes, "You're a lawyer, Jeff?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I watch a lot of Law and Order. So if my husband did something wrong, I would absolutely get away with it."
Really?
She goes, "He knows it too." I've watched so many episodes. I know exactly how to get away with killing him. And
the fact she's telling you, a lawyer, that.
I'm going, well, first off, you're not that good because you haven't learned to shut up.
Hey, that's premeditated when you talk about it.
And she's such a sweet lady. It was so funny that we're having this conversation. And that's what happens when people watch these law shows. They think they know the way the law works, and it doesn't. I think about this nonsense all the time. Somebody called me the other day with this super weird one.
Okay.
And I can't actually discuss it. But here's the thing. If it's ridiculously weird, then you know you shouldn't be involved.
There you go.
The weirder it gets, the more you need to avoid it. Jeff, this might seem unusual. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Stop
Jeff,
right
I was
there.
talking. This was really bad, and the person keeps contacting me. Don't respond. You know why people ghost people?
Why?
Because you can't use words against you that you don't use.
That is correct.
He said this and she said that. Every man I know who drunk dials.
No, it never turns out
Do you think men
good.
are worse than women when it comes to breakups?
Yes.
You think we're stalkers?
Oh my gosh, we know guys like this.
Do women stalk?
Yeah.
But I mean, not like men, though.
No. See, women.
Like, do women go to your house in comparison to men?
Yes, they will. But I think women are more covert about it. They'll come up with interesting. They'll come up with very creative reasons they had to come back and see you. Oh,
I
left
found
this.
one of your shoes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Guys will just show up. So who is he?
What's going on here?
Yeah, you're like, bro.
I thought so. You say there's a chance.
And it's midnight. Like, bro.
Hey, I just was driving around and
Yeah.
And every country song is about that. Is about the man being extremely stalky.
Oh, yeah.
Like every Morgan Wallen song is kind of stalky. And I like Morgan Wallen, but, there's this one song, I about phone numbers and calling people, and you said it's over, but you know.
You know what a guy's worst enemy is when he breaks up with a girl? Whiskey. Don't do it.
Tequila ain't great either.
No, it's not.
Tequila slows me down, though.
Does it?
I don't get violent. I get what?
But whiskey is what you drink when you're feeling blue. Yeah. And whiskey does not make you make good decisions. Put the phone down.
Yeah.
Put the phone
is not your friend.
Down. Yes.
I don't think we can put the phone down anymore.
No.
You ever seen 8 people at a table with a phone?
Yes.
Everyone's phone is on the table?
Yes.
No matter how nice a restaurant is.
It doesn't matter.
You could be at a nice restaurant. When I can't imagine, let's go back let's say 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And imagine you could take your actual phone that was in your house with you. Could you see that dial thing right on the table? Sorry, hold on. Let me move this over, sir.
Hey, could you hold my phone up so we can take a selfie?
Hold my phone. Brian, just hold the big dial.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I mean, my mom doesn't know how to use her phone. And it's strange because we've had cell phones for a while. And I go, I just texted you. She goes, I don't find it. The text, it's the text.
Notification right there.
What do you mean the text? It's the text. And we keep saying the word text because we can't imagine that they don't know what we're talking about.
No, we don't.
I said, Mom, I just sent you a picture. And she's going, I didn't get it. Well, you got it. Well, I just put it in Facebook Messenger. In Facebook? No, Facebook Messenger.
Yes.
Messenger. Well, no. I have my email. I emailed it to you too.
Oh my gosh.
I've now sent it to you on 7 different platforms.
Doesn't matter.
There's no way you don't have this thing. And then next week, oh, I love the picture you sent.
You just opened it up, Mom? Yes.
I'm like, which picture? I've sent you 7 over the last.
Do you know
you know how hard it is to be a good son?
I don't.
It's impossible.
I'm the same way.
It's impossible.
My mom's older, and the thing I hate hearing from my mom when she calls me is, I got a new phone. Oh, God. Bless. Because I know you don't know how to use it, and you're going to have me try to come over and explain to you how to work it, and I'm not going to be able to do that, and we're going to end up getting in a fight.
Oh, be glad
Wow.
you're not a lawyer.
Really?
Jeffrey, can I ask you a question? No.
No. That's what you said.
Nope.
Nope. I played this game before.
I got some tile put in the kitchen. Nope.
Nope.
I'm not suing the tile guy for you.
She wants you to sue everybody.
Not suing the tile guy. Now, see, that's the benefit of having a stepfather who's got stepkids who are attorneys.
Really?
Because I'm going, that sounds like a Bobby question. You know, like my stepbrother Bobby.
You put it on him?
Attorney. Oh, hell yeah.
You put it on him.
I said, Bobby's a beast at that stuff.
Bobby hates you.
Bobby's a beast.
Bobby hates you.
Bobby was in that tile case lasted 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I'm going.
Good job, Bobby.
See, I'll be favorite child unless it's coming with stuff like that. I'll pass on that.
You've learned to stay out of that.
Yes.
When people call you family members, you're like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Hey. Jeff.
Nope.
Nope.
I know where this is going to go.
All right, we got a question.
We do.
Let's answer stuff from people who I really don't give a damn about. Go ahead.
Love it.
You know who it is.
Legally
It's
screwed.
the people who leave us nasty comments.
That's true.
Who have all the questions. And then they get mad at me for answering their question.
The right way.
Because they didn't want to pay for it.
They don't want to pay for
Cheapos.
stuff. Cheap sons of... All right, here we go. Roommates are threatening to sue. Here we go.
Of course they are.
Now, I moved out of an apartment where 3 roommates were on vacation.
Quad.
We're all going to move out.
Quad. That's 4 of you guys.
There you go.
Quad.
A quad. Now, management asked me to clean out the fridge. So I threw away moldy or expired food. Now, my roommates are accusing me of throwing away food they left behind that they plan on eating when they got back. And they're threatening, get this, to sue me unless I pay
Sue me? Sue this.
$250 for my moldy experiment that I left in the refrigerator. What do you do, Hotshot? What do you do?
I'm
not a lawyer, but I think I got this one.
Every time I hear something like this,
Yeah.
one word comes to mind.
Okay.
And it's plural.
Okay.
Feces. Feces.
Got it.
Some people are feces.
Yeah. That's a nice way to say that. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
They're not joking.
If you live in an apartment with 4 people, you have never spent $250 on groceries.
Never.
Well, you are a doctor. I mean, we need some prime cuts here.
How many?
Your ass went to Costco.
Yeah.
And got some moldy meat. And I'm not saying
no, but you're saying basically no one's spending that much money on leftover Chipotle.
You owe me $250.
Yeah.
God, do me a favor. Just go on Facebook and bitch.
Jeff, I couldn't hire a lawyer.
Right, I don't even want to answer.
Yeah, I couldn't hire a lawyer for $250 to sue him.
This is the calls I get.
You get these, don't you?
And this guy and this woman or guy here is going to, oh, Jeff, you don't understand. It's serious. It's not serious. Serious is, hey, you punctured my kidney.
Yeah, there you go.
You know that chuck I had in the refrigerator that went bad after 6 months. First off, you nasty.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, 4 people live together. Clean the refrigerator.
Which is a common fight that you have with roommates.
And you already know you're not the one they like because all 3 went on vacation without you.
Oh,
you ain't the favorite to begin with.
You are not.
And you did something. No good deed goes unpunished.
Correct.
Do you know how many times I get in trouble for the free stuff I do?
Yeah.
I never get in trouble when you paid me for it. It's
free.
When I do that nice gesture. And I do it all the time.
Good intentions.
And you have to be used to it. You have to be used to, okay, I'm going to do something nice, but I'm going to get screwed over.
Yeah.
Like I was in the post office the other day, and this woman couldn't afford her money.
Oh yeah.
And I gave the money. I was sitting in line, and I was in a bad mood because I'm in the post office, and that requires you to be in a bad mood.
That's how that works.
You walk in, and it's like the ghost of hate sits on you because no matter, there'll be like one person, and you're there for 3 hours.
For no reason.
And the guy's trying to explain something to somebody who obviously hasn't mailed a package ever.
Ever.
Oh, what do you mean? Well, it's weight. Why does it cost so much? Well, it weighs that much. But I don't have it. Well, then you have to think this way. And then he's got to explain the 400 methods that they can mail something because this person has never mailed anything in their lives.
Ever.
So I finally get up there. And then, and this is fate. Then they open the second line.
Of course. As soon as you
then
get up
everyone
there.
comes to work. The minute I get to somebody, and I Okay, this is what I hate. You had to sign for it. Only the mail does that now, where you have to sign for stuff. They can't just leave it.
No.
So
I need you to
and you know
sign
what happens
this.
when you're not there to sign? You have to go to the post office that's holding it.
Mm.
And then you have this stupid red list or yellow piece of card or whatever. And you walk over there, and the guy looks at you like you're doing something wrong. You're going, you told me to come here.
Yes.
And then the guy looks at me like he's not sure what to do.
No post office workers ever in a good mood.
No.
Never.
And the guy looks at me and goes, what's this? I said, well, it got left. I didn't sign for something. Why did you sign for it? I wasn't there.
I was there.
And then he's like grilling me like he's Kojak.
Like it's Law and Order.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Dude, I'm a lawyer. I'll grill you. And then the woman sitting next to her, and I think she was homeless, and they were
going back and forth.
And she has this envelope, and you could tell she just picked up the envelope and stuck this piece of paper in it. And the guy said $11, and she goes, that's a lot. And I, it is a lot.
That's a lot.
When you have no money.
Yeah.
And he's going, well, you got to put an envelope. Well, how much is an envelope? $3. You have to pay for an envelope? When did paper become $3?
It's not.
And I'm going, and she's like, you could tell she just has no clue where she is.
Gotcha.
And I'm watching this. And I leaned over, I said, bro. And I didn't mean to call him bro because he was white.
I think that's, let me
I think that's okay.
Let me refer to the judges. They will allow it. It's fine.
They're allowed.
It's fine.
Like I could call another guy bro and not get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you guys take cash? Of course we take cash.
Yeah.
And I give him the $20. I got this. Just mail it the way she wants to mail it.
That's a good deed.
Okay.
Yes.
Then this jerk off
Uh-huh.
says to ma'am, is it okay if he pays your bill? She ain't got the $10. Of course it's okay. What's she going to go? No, you give it to me.
When is it not okay to pay another person's bill?
I was like, is it a crime? And he's looking at me and I'm looking at him and I was like going, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to help this out because you spent the last 10 minutes explaining what $10 and this crappy envelope costs.
Yeah.
That I paid, that my taxes paid for. I paid for it twice.
Yes.
And she looks over at me. I said, just let me do this for you. And she just kind of stared at me and I said, just nod back at him.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, and he goes, so that's okay?
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I'll go postal on you.
This just
He goes, what should I do with the change? Keep the...
You almost lost your mind.
I almost lost my mind. And then the guy who goes, oh, we don't have the package.
Are you kidding?
I go, does it say you have the package? Yes, but we don't have it. I go, why don't you have the package? Well, they're out trying to deliver it again. I said, but it said that I have to come here to get it. So why are they trying to deliver it again?
That's a great question.
Well, I'll write on it that she could drop it off. Wow. I'm going, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I walk out. I get a call yesterday from the woman who works downstairs in my building.
Yeah.
You have to sign for a package. And she heard the tone of my voice and she goes, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll sign this, Jeff. I said, thank you very much because somebody's going to die.
Yeah. I was going to need a lawyer myself.
Yes. So in this situation, tell your friends to pound sand.
There you go.
You ain't paying it.
Nope.
You're leaving and leave these scumbags leave them.
Leave them.
They go on vacation without you. They're not good people. Let them go. You're not getting sued. No lawyer's going to take it. Get in front of Wapner or who's ever running the people's court now and tell them their moldy ass food wasn't worth it.
No.
And you would only have to pay replacement costs for the food and that quality, not brand new food.
Yeah, there you go.
So you'll tell them, hey, here's $3.
Yeah.
Take the $9 off of what I left at the mail office and be done with it.
There you go. Meet you at Waffle House.
This is two attorneys arguing. Sometimes Craig and I agree. Sometimes we don't agree. Billboards. Now, we used to have a problem with billboards. Used to hate them. Used to drive by some of these things and going, this just doesn't seem fair. It seems like they're making promises. It seems they're doing stuff. You know,
oh yeah,
that's not what it is.
They're setting expectations, even though they claim in like tiny little letters that you can't see. This is not typical, or this isn't representative of all clients. Your case is individual, and it's so small you can't read it.
Now, since I got my eyes done, I can read it.
You can read it.
I'm going to do Dr. Filatowski.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: I was not paid by him, and I clearly didn't get a discount.
Really?
Yeah. No.
I would have thought that he would have given you a discount.
Nope. And you know what?
Did he?
I don't want a discount on my eyes.
Yeah, I'm going to pay extra.
I'm going to pay extra so that you care a little more. I don't want them to go, this guy used a coupon.
How much do 10 people cost? Okay, I want to pay that price.
I'm going to tip you when you're done.
Spend the amount of time that you would spend on 10 other people on me.
I don't want to do anything as a discount. Now, people, they fly to different countries now to get these services for cheaper. Like if you want like veneers, you can go to Colombia, you could go to Mexico. And then what comes out is sometimes I see people come out of these places, they come back and they got like horse teeth. And they're like, hey, roo. And I'm like, what the hell are those chiclets you got in your teeth? And the guy will be like, no, it only cost me half. I'm going, yeah, I know. I think you have to pay more for the bigger, less for the bigger ones.
Do you know, I've seen so many people who get there. People, look at me when I tell you this. You can take it too far. Yes. You can do the whitening thing so much that we can't concentrate on what you're saying anymore because your teeth are so artificially white. All we can think about is how odd it looks. That's like perfection. Don't do perfection.
You never know.
Don't do perfectly white.
How do you know what perfection is? How do you know what it is?
Because you're blinded by their teeth. You're like, oh my goodness.
You're trusting the person who's doing it.
Because it's not natural. But you can tell by looking at it, it's not natural.
Now, I've been watching.
You see hundreds of thousands of people every year, and you see all kinds of teeth, and when they're that unbelievably sparkly white, you can't concentrate on what they're saying anymore.
Sometimes they're done in a certain way where you're going, those teeth look good. And then you're questioning. It's kind of like...
Who's that?
Certain people get enhancements. And sometimes when you see an enhancement, you're like going, no way. But you're not actually bothered by it. You're just going, no way.
NFL today, there's some fat guy. And he had him done.
Every ex-athlete.
He had him done. And he starts talking. And even if he's making a good point, I can't hear the point he's making because I'm so distracted. Like, oh my God, does this not look fake? It's like seeing a guy who's like 110 years old come in. He's got this huge span of hair everywhere. And you're like, come on.
You're talking, he's got the wig?
Huh?
He's got the wig?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Like
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I'm not upset by people trying to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, and not me either. I do the same thing.
How do you know when
but
somebody
when you go
along?
Overboard, it's the overboard. It's
how
not.
Do you know
I don't begrudge
is?
People who like, hey, I want to improve. That's great. You should want to improve. And it's great that your appearance is important to you. But don't go so over the top that we are so distracted.
How do we know when that happens? How do we know when that happens?
We can tell.
I mean,
it's the guy on NFL Today, the fat guy.
Could you stop with the fat guy?
They know who I'm talking about. The audience knows who I'm talking about.
There's lots of fat guys on things. But, why is it okay we make fun of people's weight when it's a man?
I don't know.
It doesn't fair.
It just is.
It doesn't seem fair.
It's funny.
It doesn't fair.
It's kind of funny.
It is true in comedy. When I do stand-up, I see a fat guy hit the stage. I'm like, I don't want to follow him.
Fat guys are kind of funny.
And you know why? Because audience want to laugh more. They just look at the guy and they're ready to laugh.
It's kind of disarming because you know the guy is not arrogant. Or he's at least less arrogant than he otherwise would be. There's a good-looking comedian on stage. You're like, oh, this guy thinks he's something special.
Yeah,
this guy might be better than me. I don't like looking at people that are better than me. I want to laugh with people who I think, oh, okay.
Yeah, I lost 40 pounds, so I go on stage now. I'm like, I got to be a little funnier. Because when I was fatter, I can make fat jokes. Do you find
that people laugh less now that you've lost weight?
Yeah, the joke's got to be good now.
So fat people have an advantage in comedy.
Yeah.
So why is it okay to describe a guy as fat and you wouldn't do that with a woman? Like that fat woman because it's descriptive and we know that men don't take it personally. You just said
big fat guy. I mean, you had no problem describing. Men don't take it personally.
Like a fat dude, like you say, hey, there's a fat guy over there. He will hear you and go, oh yeah, are you talking about me?
It's chivalry.
It's not an insult.
It's chivalry.
It's not.
We do view women different. We want to protect them.
When you say a woman's fat,
yes, you want to protect them.
Yeah. Now you're trying to make her feel bad.
And you know what?
You're not trying to make a dude feel bad when you call him fat. You're just describing him.
I believe in respecting women, but I'm also believing, hey, they should be paid the same amount too. So it's not like I'm like going keep them in the kitchen. No, I mean, I am stuck on things. I will open a door, and you ever open a door and the person goes, "I got it."
I have a whole philosophy on opening.
Oh my God!
I have a whole philosophy.
Oh my God! You're standing there holding the door. You're going.
I don't care. I don't care if you got it. This really, honestly, at the end of the day, isn't as much for you as it is for me. I feel like I am a better person if I put other people's priorities ahead of mine. Like if I treat people in a way that I think is well or good or showing respect, I don't care how they perceive it. Like if I'm opening the door and the lady's like, oh, I don't need a man to open a door for me. I'm perfectly capable.
No.
I don't care about that. I am opening the door because I feel better about myself, because in my heart, I am trying to show you respect. If you take me trying to show you respect and you somehow in your brain twist that around into being disrespectful, that's a you problem. I'm still going to hold the door. I don't know what to tell you.
Do you know what it's like? It's like when people wish me a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And I go, Merry
Thank
Christmas to you too. I don't go, I'm Jewish.
Well, yeah, because you know that they're not trying to
Because there's
denigrate.
a douche factor.
But they're not trying to denigrate your religion. They're wishing you well. And you recognize, oh, here's somebody who is what they're really trying to do is wish me well. They're not trying to say, hey, you should be Christian and being Jewish is wrong. They're not saying that. And you know that. But if you wanted to, you could twist that around in your head.
Oh, everyone twists it.
Yeah,
Everyone has their issues. I mean, we have stuff going on right now.
We got to get back to the world where we take the speaker's intentions into account.
God,
can we do that? Can we go back to that world? That's how it was in the 80s.
You know why we can't? Because people are stupid. And then I got to figure out what this moron's trying to say. No. I hear it all the time.
You don't have to figure it out. Assume that they have good intentions until they prove otherwise.
No.
That's not true. You just said when someone says to you Merry Christmas, you say Merry Christmas back. You don't.
I do.
So you're assuming that their intentions are good.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm just not starting a problem. I don't need a problem.
Well, you should assume that their intentions.
I'm being polite. I'd be polite to a-holes. I got no problem with that. And you
recognize the person saying Merry Christmas to you is trying to be
an
polite.
A-hole. I don't know.
It could be.
I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be thoughtful.
And that's what that person's doing. They're just being kind.
You know how many times I wish somebody a Merry Christmas? I don't like walk up to random strangers and go, Happy Hanukkah. It's just crazy.
Do you ever say Merry Christmas?
All the time.
First?
All the time. One of the first of what? Yeah.
Are you the first one to say it? Hey, Merry Christmas.
I have been. I assume they're not Jewish. I mean,
so your assumption
The
calculation.
math is with me.
I will assume some things, but not other things.
We make up less than 1% of Orlando. I think
Jewish people make up less than 1%?
Less than 1%.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that, where do you get that?
That's a fact.
It is Google. A fact.
Google told me. Okay. Rule that people from majority groups like straight or white individuals can sue employers if they face discrimination at work. This woman sued.
Hasn't that always been the case?
No, there's certain places that say it has to be. There are certain laws that actually, how can I say it, declare that if you're part of the majority that you aren't protected. And in this case, for example, this woman got passed over twice by two people who were gay. And she said, they're only promoting these people because they're gay and I'm straight.
Well, if that's true, then that's wrong.
And do you know how the Supreme Court voted?
Down party lines, all Republicans on one side, all Democrats.
Unanimous.
Really?
Really?
Even Justice Jackson?
All of them.
Wow.
That's how bad this was. That somebody goes, oof.
Wow.
9 unanimous. 9-0.
I would have bet money that would have been party lines.
That was the whole point. I was looking at going, oh my God, how bad was this? You know, we get the little snippets of how bad it was.
Yeah.
But it must have been like nuclear.
Wow.
So
9-0.
9-0. And a lot of when we're dealing with people's arguments, and right now it's a difficult place to be. Our country, everyone's giving opinions they shouldn't give. Probably I shouldn't give them. But then again, I got it right. I'm on the radio.
People tune in to listen to your opinions.
People listen to this
think there's
nonsense.
a demand, a small demand, but a demand for your opinions.
Hey, our TikTok does well. I actually hit 170 the other day.
170 likes? Stop it.
Yeah, serious.
On who? On what? What were you talking about?
I was interviewing Kevin Smith.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, okay. I don't mean to be mean.
Oh, you're saying that it was because of Kevin?
Of course I'm saying it's because it's Kevin. What was your views before Kevin? Was it 170?
What? Yeah, we had some. It was a big one. But people were.
It was mostly you and definitely not Kevin Smith.
People were slamming Kevin, and I felt bad.
slamming
Yeah,
Kevin
they were
Smith.
slamming
Why?
Kevin because they said he was talking about Harvey Weinstein and his Dogma, the movie Dogma, which he was now able to show, and people were going nuts. Oh, he worked with this pedophile. First off, Hollywood. There were a lot of bad dudes in Hollywood.
Oh, if the criteria is that you can't have worked with a pedophile to watch or
a
enjoy
misogynist
a movie,
or a Me Too guy.
I got news for you folks.
Yeah.
Most of your movies are going to come off the shelf.
Here's the thing. Watch this. This is real. If you were ever on an airplane with our boy,
Who's our boy?
the guy who now they say couldn't have committed suicide.
Oh, Epstein. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were ever on a plane with Epstein, we shouldn't have to see you again. If you ever rode in his plane. Now, that seems a lot worse than Kevin Smith being financed
Yeah.
by a guy.
Yeah, it's like having a company and having like a major stockholder being a company you don't like.
It happens all the time. Like I used to be part of this. We used to do an event called Dragon Con in Georgia. And one of the guys who ran Dragon Con was a bad dude. And we didn't know it, but it came out later he was a bad dude. And then he didn't want to give up his shares. And then everyone's like, you need to sell because we can't be associated with a bad dude.
It's like owning stock, though. I mean, like you own stock with all kinds of people.
Well, if you're the majority stockholder and, you got your own Epstein Island, they might push you out.
Dan Bongino said that Epstein actually killed himself.
I know.
I can't believe that Dan Bongino said. If Dan Bongino said that,
well,
probably is true.
You know why? They showed him.
They showed him what?
They showed him. He got all the data.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I
and
think he's being
sitting there trying to rub his knees.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think they quote got to him. That guy has been telling the truth for a long time, and if Dan Bongino
could you
says,
stop saying telling the truth the whole time? I've seen, he's had some fun.
Bongino,
he's a little fast and loose.
No, that's not true.
I know.
I've listened to him for a long time.
I know it's your thing.
I can't listen to him anymore because now he works for the FBI and he doesn't have a.
So he's the man.
He doesn't have a podcast anymore.
He does. It's called The News. Every night he says something. It's in front of a mic.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I guess he still is heard almost every day by probably more people this way. But he did have a really good podcast, and he used to talk a lot about how he he couldn't understand how Epstein could have killed himself, and he was pushing that, and then he got to see all the stuff, and he's like, oh, you know what? Hey, the guy killed himself.
But what if now he's part of the deep state?
That's what people were saying. Oh, they got to Dan. They got to. I don't think.
I love the word deep state.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking to myself,
Dan. I don't think they got to him.
And here's the thing: it's not the state is too deep. In fact, I'd like to call it the shallow state because we always see it. It's in our face all the time. Yeah, no, this was BS. This was BS. This was BS. No, it's not BS. But we could have known it was BS because it was this, and we didn't know.
Well, I want to know what is it that they showed. So here's the big question:
we had panels on aliens.
What was it?
Shallow state.
What was it? And Dan, I think, owes this to his audience. What was it that he saw?
No.
That convinced him, okay, I was wrong. This guy actually did kill himself.
He did. He said the videos. He said that he watched the videos of people going in and out of the area, not of his place, but the area. So I think that was it. I think we all are wrong
but here's
at
the
some
thing.
time in our life.
Here's the thing. They could have made him kill himself. They could have said, hey, your girlfriend?
Like the Clintons?
You know the terrible things we're going to do to her if you don't kill yourself? And if you're dealing with these kinds of powerful people, they can do it. So you're like, okay, I mean, I really have no choice.
I think I would have, I think if I was in his situation, I don't want to set you guys up if you want to kill me later, but if I was in his situation and I was looking at a lifetime in prison, especially a guy who lived on the level he lived, I mean, he lived big. This dude was flying jets, money, everything.
Yes.
And he goes, what's going to happen?
Countless celebrities.
I'm going to go to prison where I'm going to spend the day servicing some big dude. I think he had enough motivation.
Yeah,
I think he had enough motivation. Our guest today on Under Oath is baseball player and writer Art Shamsky. Art, can you hear me?
I can. Sound good.
The title of the book, somebody was bringing this up to me yesterday when we were going through everything. We're doing a little Mets stories I only tell my friends, but it's a book.
Well, what's interesting, I this is my third book. I've written two others, and Most of them have been, all of them been about the 1969 Mets and my career as a baseball player. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to write about? I'm never going to be a novelist writing love stories or things of that nature. But the thing about it is, I wanted to write a little bit different kind of book about 1969 and my career. And I actually happened to see some excerpts from a book that former President Dwight Eisenhower wrote many years ago called At Ease, stories I only tell my friends. And I thought about it. I said, well, maybe I can expand on some of the things that have been written before about the team and about my life. And really, that's how it all came about. And I realized that 1969 Met team, it has more books written about it than any other sports team in history of sports. I really believe that. And so I had to do something different. And it really is about my relationships with some teammates and things that I did on and off the field, how I got traded over to the Mets, which is a story in itself. And so for me, it was just a way to do something a little bit different than write about how I wrote about before.
Now, professional athletes are a little different than lawyers and doctors. Normally, if you're a lawyer, you work in the same place. You're a doctor, you work in the same place. But as a baseball player or other professional athletes, you could move in like a minute. In baseball specifically that way, where you could get traded, you could be playing another game in another city that night.
Well, it's true. That's what happened to me towards the end of my career. I was really kind of banged up. I got hurt. In the last couple of years I played, I was either on a disabled list or not really healthy enough to play. And when I gave up the game at a very young age, I realized that I just needed to stay healthier, and I would have been in the game a lot longer. But that's part of it. You know, guys get traded. We all have been, most people have been traded once or twice in their career. Very unusual for somebody not to. So, but that was a story for me at the end of my career, where I got traded from the Mets to the St. Louis, to ended up with the Cubs for a while, and then ended up with Oakland the first year they won the World Series, which was great. But at a very young age, I said, I just don't want to go through this again, and realized 2 years later or so that I should have tried to hang on, because salaries got escalated, the pension plan was more in effect, and all sorts of things happened, like free agency and arbitration. But those are things you think about years later and wish you would have done differently. But I haven't got no complaints. I've had a pretty good life.
Now, back then, they didn't really, you played hurt. There were no options. You said, listen, you got to play. We need you. I mean, do you think your career would have been much longer if it would have existed 10 years later?
Yes. I think players today are treated much better. Medical things are much better. Diet is much better. Training is better. They're bigger and stronger. That's a separate issue than if I do think they play the game any better than when I played back in the 60s and 70s. But the reality of it is, you play today, you've got extra special care and doctors right there, and you get hurt, somebody's right on top of it to make sure that you're getting the best medical care that you can get. And that just wasn't the case, especially before me, back in the 40s, 50s, and early 60s. And when I came up to the big leagues, you had a doctor that maybe come once a homestand, and that was it. And then the trainer really kind of took care of you. Now it's a whole different world.
Now, I used to be a sports agent, and everything was based on statistics, but the one thing you couldn't weigh in is heart. And I noticed there's been huge changes in that because there's entitlement issues, the money. I mean, do you think there's the same amount of heart in these games than that used to be?
I'd hate to think a player doesn't play hard all the time, but I will tell you this: I think managers today, in particular in baseball, managed by sabermetrics, they think they get printouts from the front office and who's going to play, when they're going to pinch hit, when they're going to do this, or not pinch hit, but change pitchers, etc. In my era, I think guys I played for, in particular, my manager with the Mets, I just think they manage differently, and I think that they manage by heart, they manage by feel. Whereas today, everything is a printout. It's really, you got guys, college graduates, making decisions that you can't measure unless you're out on the field, and that's the difference in the game today. I think it's just a different world in that respect. we could argue all day, is the game better now than it was? I think we need another program for that, because I have my own opinion about it. But I was very lucky when I played in the '60s. I think it was the greatest conglomerate of players in the history of the game. I played the National League with Mays, Aaron, Clemente, Stargell, McCovey, Frank Robinson, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Billy Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on. Koufax, Drysdale, Marichal, Gibson, Seaver, Kuzman, who did I say, Carlton, Jim Bunning. I mean, just guys that all of them, for the most part, in the Hall of Fame. And I think the game was different back then. It was I don't know. I need another program to talk about all those feelings about it. But it's still a wonderful game. Baseball is the greatest game in the world. It teaches you humility. It teaches you how to deal with adversity. What other game can you fail 7 out of 10 times to still be a star? And it teaches you how to overcome some of that stuff. And if you don't overcome it, you're out. They weed you out. But that's what I tell kids, and I work with them and I do some clinics. Baseball is still the greatest game in the world.
Now, the Hall of Fame, what I hate about the Hall of Fame is that athletes don't make the determination who gets in, but mainly sports writers, people who didn't play the game, people who didn't have to suffer. And I always hear writers talk about who should get in, who shouldn't, and who's forgiven, who's not. And I know Pete Rose and Joe Jackson have just been basically forgiven by Major League Baseball. As a player, your opinion on something like that, to say, listen, we're flawed individuals, but do we have forgiveness for certain things?
Well, I've never been one to really like the way the players are voted into writers in the Hall of Fame. And in Pete Rose's case, we were best of friends at one time. We started our careers with Cincinnati together, played in the minor leagues together. And I'm just saddened by the fact that they did it after he passed away. Who knows if he'll get in, because it's a strange system that they have. And I think he'd have to go through a committee. He wouldn't be voted in by any writers because he's been out so long. And these committees are made up of 16 individuals, not all ball players, but could be a writer or two or a front office person. So who knows if he's going to get in. I just think the fact that they did it after he passed away, to me, it should have been done in a different way. And maybe I'm partial because we were good friends, but the reality of it is, and I've never been crazy about the Hall of Fame, the way it did, even up to this point where some guys got in through certain aspects, through certain committees, and it's very subjective, and I understand that, but I always thought the Hall of Fame was really for special people, would put up special numbers, special skills. And it's kind of segued to my mind out of that. And in some ways, it's who you know and things of that nature. But again, that's another program at another time, I think.
I remember in Vegas, I was in Vegas about 10 years ago, and I found out that Pete signed in Vegas. He basically lived there. And I remember going to the MGM and sitting with him for like 2 minutes, and he was sitting at an empty table signing balls. And I was thinking to myself, this is one of the best players who ever existed. And for Major League Baseball to do this, for any group to do this to him and not be forgiving and understanding, it just was heartbreaking.
Well, what's interesting about Pete, if you look at his records, unbelievable records in the National League, switch hitting records, all-star game. I think he went in as an all-star in 4 different positions. What's interesting about that situation with Pete, 20 years ago when I go out and talk, and I do a lot of personal appearances, a lot of people didn't want him to be in for various reasons. They thought his off-field things, the gambling, was too much of something to overcome. But over the years, that needle was gone the other way, and more people now wish he would have got in than ever before. And what's interesting about the ones who still don't want him to be in, that small percentage of people who don't think he should be in their minds for very good reasons, I would say 99 and 9/10% of them wish everybody played the game like Pete did. And that's the sadness I feel in that situation, because he was such a dominant hard-nosed player, and people respected that, and people loved him for that, and that was his trademark. And I think looking at his career and the things he accomplished in all those years he played in all the different positions as an all-star, I think at some point you look and you say, hey, what he did was not right. We understand that, but there's so much going on now, with all the gambling, and now they're promoting it and everything else. So, it is what it is. But I hope that he gets in at some point.
Now, more on the line of a personal question. I was in the Army. I did a lot of things, and I don't wear my religion on my sleeve, and being Jewish in a community that's not Jewish, or an organization that's not Jewish, you try to, how can I say it? Stay in your lane. Don't stick out. Don't do anything because you don't want to be attacked for it. Now, you were a baseball player in the 60s and 70s. I mean, how did this really affect you, or was it something that you said, yeah, I have no problem with, I want to be out there?
It never really affected me. I for whatever reason, I think an era before me, or maybe in the 40s, even 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s, guys were affected. Maybe they heard things. I never had a problem. I had good teammates, people that respected me as a person and as a player, and so I can honestly say I never had any teammates. I have had many questions about that, but I can honestly tell you that in my experience, it was just as a ball player. I like to think that people looked at me as a ball player. I did manage a team in Israel when they started a league in 2007. And I really enjoyed being over there. I think those of us who went there, unfortunately, the league only lasted 1 year, but it was a prelude to Israel determining that they wanted to be a factor in international baseball. And subsequent to that, the fields were awful. The equipment was bad. The players were not very good. But I always feel like at some point that when people talk to me about it, that those of us who went there and started that league were kind of the catalyst in Israel determining they want to be a player in international baseball. And so they decided to build some fields and develop the game. And as witnessed by the last couple World Baseball Classics and the Olympics, they've done really well, and to their credit. But I enjoyed that a lot, and for me to be part of that and tell people that I was instrumental in them developing the game, I think is very, very important to me. But on a personal level, I've never really had any players. I looked at myself as a big league player or a baseball player, and that's what it was. And so for me, it was just being who I was.
Now, you had mentioned in a couple other interviews about your, growing up in a family where, success was being a doctor or a lawyer and everything else like that. When you tell your parents, you go, hey, listen, I think my calling is baseball. What did they say to you?
Well, my dad was the first person that I dedicated this last book, Met Stories. I only told my friends to my dad, who was the first person to soft toss with me and brought me a glove, and he was really the person instrumental in me developing as a baseball player. My mom, she couldn't have cared less. She I probably can count on one hand the number of games she came to is that when I was playing amateur baseball. When I got to the big leagues, they came much more than they did before. But I don't think it mattered to them. My dad was a big St. Louis Cardinal fan. We grew up in St. Louis, and I think he was happy that I made a career in baseball.
Your book is called Met Stories, I Only Tell My Friends. I assume we can get that through Amazon, Kindle, and everything else?
You can get it to Amazon. Anybody can get it to Amazon or Triumph Books or any really good bookstore. And they can also get it from me on my website, artshamsky.com, where they would get one that's autographed. I can guarantee they get one that's autographed if they go through my website. But it's doing really well in the bookstores, and I would say wherever they can get it, to get it, because it's a great book.
Well, I appreciate talking to you, Art. I look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up today's show. I'm attorney Jeff Kaufman. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to my two co-hosts, my good friend, professional comedian James John, and my law partner, Craig Lind. This show is sponsored by Kaufman Lind. If you or someone you know has been in an accident, contact us at 407-500-JEFF or 407-500-5333 for a free consultation, or visit us at whenyouneedus.com.